back to another episode of Come Over for Dinner. I'm so glad you're joining me. Today I have a very special guest. Her name is Heather. She has 7 children ranging in age from 13 to 2. She is a pastor's wife and she is very hospitable. She hosts, of course, her own family, lots of kids every night, but she hosts family, friends, and company a lot. So welcome, Heather.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're joining me today. She recently moved from Florida with her family, so there are quite a bit of differences between Florida and Idaho.
Yes, there are.
Are you having a hard time cooking in Idaho? Have the produce is different? There's probably a lot of ingredient changes.
Yes, I feel like there's a lot of changes. You know, my southern canned green beans, they're not in the stores here.
That brand that's another change I've noticed is brands. You have to refine favorite brands.
Yeah.
And but what you relied on isn't there.
I don't know if people are loving my canned green beans with bacon recipe out here anyway. So
okay, tell us about that. That sounds pretty good and easy.
Well, I can't remember the name of the brand. My family who knows they'll remember it for me. But anyways, all you do is just dump canned green beans and you cook a pound of bacon, you dump it in a slow cooker.
Oh my word.
You serve it.
If you put a pound of bacon in with about anything. That's
right. That's how we do it in the South. Lots of bacon.
Yes. Kids will eat those green beans like they're candy.
They love them. Out here, that's bacon and green beans and crock pots are not as loved as they are in the South.
We do love a good crock pot. A good crock pot green bean.
That's right.
I love it. Okay, well, besides crock pot green beans with a pound of bacon, what else do you serve your guests when they come over?
Well, lately I have been ordering just a bunch of cookbooks.
Okay.
And a lot of that has come because it is such different cooking out here. Mm-hmm. So because it's so different, I feel like I've had a lack of inspiration. You know, the South, it's warm all the time, so you're not really cooking for weather changes or shifts. And also, while you do have a decent amount of produce in Florida, out here it does seem like there's more specific seasons of produce and a lot more produce that's grown locally. So that has kind of made me think about different types of food differently that we just didn't have as much local access to. And here you can just walk on down to the farmer's market and pick up something. And
it's very fun that they have a local farmer's market.
It is. And that kind of helps drive even what you would cook. Where it felt a little bit, it was less like that where I was at in Florida. So lately I've been cooking just more stuff for fall. You know, I've been using apples more or some nuts, or pork, you know, just things that are a little warmer, a little more fall inspired.
Yes. So the cold weather is creeping in every night or there's snow is on the horizon. You do have to think of some hot comfort food. In the South, sometimes it would be Thanksgiving or Christmas and the doors are thrown open and people are playing football in the backyard barefoot.
Right. Yeah. And you're cooking in the South for almost the nostalgia of the season and for the holiday.
Yes.
But
not necessarily the temperature.
You're not cooking for the temperature and there's not apples growing on trees all around you. So you're thinking about
to
cooking.
Go to the store and try to find the apple that you want.
That's right.
If they happen to have it.
Right. You're not, everybody right now is picking apples and making applesauce. Mm-hmm. You make applesauce in Florida for the nostalgia of it with your kids, maybe one time or and I'm sure there's more people that do it.
Could y'all pick citrus where you are?
We did. Yeah,
that would
citrus.
Be amazing.
Yeah,
that would be something that we would envy in Idaho.
That's right. Oranges and grapefruit, and typically those are around the winter.
Oh,
so
wow.
So that's not how Northerners would probably think of citrus. You'd think summer, but typically you're getting orange slices for Christmas to have for breakfast or grapefruit slices. And anyways.
Did y'all make fresh orange juice and grapefruit juice? Like in the North, they do apple pressings and do ciders and things like that. Did y'all make your own juices?
Yeah, you would. I mean, if you live near an orange grove or you just picked it up, you would. I grew up right next to an orange grove, and so did Jared. So I'm sure that we've had our fair share. And I had an old neighbor that he had orange trees, and he would pick oranges, and then he would take out his pocket knife and just peel the orange all the way around until it was just a spiral peel all in one. And that was just, always really fun. That's just the way he did it. He would peel them like that for us. But yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay, so tell me a specific menu that you would serve.
So lately, I ordered several cookbooks to try to get me inspired for fall coming up. And one of the cookbooks that I have been enjoying is from the editors of Cooks Illustrated. It's called the Best One Dish Suppers. And it's just been fun to kind of use less dishes and still be able to cook on a larger scale. And the recipe I've made a few times now is called a bacon-wrapped pork loin with warm Dijon potato salad. I don't like that they call it warm Dijon potato salad.
Doesn't sound as appetizing as I'm sure it is.
It is more appetizing. So I have named it bacon-wrapped pork loin with roasted potatoes.
Ooh, that sounds better.
With a Dijon dressing.
Oh,
that's what I'm going to call it, because I
okay.
don't like a warm potato salad.
Yes, that doesn't. Usually when you think of potato salad, you're thinking cold. So warm potato salad might be off-putting.
It was a little off-putting when I read it. But I've made that as the main dish, and the potatoes obviously for the side. And that you cook all on one sheet pan.
I love that.
So that's great. I mean, you just get a big old sheet pan and you wrap it in tinfoil and you put the pork loin on it, and you only season it with fennel and salt and pepper. And then you wrap it in bacon, and then you cut the potatoes in half, and
More bacon.
More bacon.
Love it.
You know it, girl. Okay.
Just throw on some bacon and you got a meal.
I might be in the Pacific Northwest, but you can't take the Southern out of me.
You can't take the bacon
There's
away
going to be
from the
bacon
Southern
somewhere.
Girl. Yes.
So, and then you just cut the potatoes in half, little baby potatoes, and you olive oil, salt, and pepper, and you put them face down, and it's a fort, and then that's it.
Roasted potatoes are magical.
They're just delicious.
They're so delicious, and they're so simple.
They're so simple, and you just roast this, and you can put it in for about 40 minutes. And so then you can, during that 40 minutes, then I normally make the half-baked Harvest kale and apple salad. And actually,
Does it have bacon?
It's got meat in it.
It has what in it?
It has ham in it. It's got
ham.
prosciutto in it. So, well,
Which is Italian bacon.
right?
Right?
It's bacon.
We'll call it bacon.
Just some more bacon in it.
This is going to be the top menu ever on
Everyone
this
is
podcast.
welcome. Everyone's welcome. Eating bacon makes you happier, so just go ahead.
It's God's gift to man. One of the very many.
Yeah, but it's got the half-baked Harvest salad. I actually got that from a friend who used it recently, and it's just the perfect kale salad.
It is a delicious salad.
It's delicious. I would eat it every day. I would eat it every season, but it's really a fun dish for fall. But it's got apple slices and pomegranate seeds and roasted pumpkin seeds. It's just a really great fall holiday kale salad. And so I've loved that. And anyway, so I serve that together. So it's just pork loin and potatoes and a kale salad, and it's delicious and feels very fall,
This
So
would be perfect for fall or winter, I think.
I think so too. And I've been serving it with a dessert lately that is more fall. It's fun. I never thought about when peaches grew. And I'm here where people grow peaches.
Did they have peaches in Florida?
No,
in Arkansas they did.
Oh, they
we
did.
had peach orchards,
When did y'all?
and it was just incredible. Ours were July sometime.
Okay, so it's more summer.
Depending on how late how late the summer started.
Yeah.
Usually it was probably, I would say, average mid to late July.
Okay.
And we always got boxes of fresh peaches from the orchard and would make peach pies or peach cobblers, but we loved to just freeze them as well. And so all year long we would have frozen peaches for peach smoothies.
Ooh, yum.
It's hard.
That's delicious.
It's hard to not have
That is
crates
hard.
and boxes of fresh orchard peaches.
They have them at the market, but I have not done a good job since we moved here of freezing or canning anything.
Right.
I would do strawberry jam in Florida because you can pick strawberries and do those. But that's I'm sure someone from Florida is going to get me on this, but there's not a ton of produce that you're really preserving in the same way you do like out here. It's apples and a lot of fruit, but you're not doing that with bananas, obviously, in Florida, or oranges.
Well, and it is nice that year round, I mean, we're so blessed because of shipping from various and sundry places. You can get so much year round that, you know, so it's not quite as pressing as it was, say, back in the day.
Right. It has been fun to get, I've still been able to get peaches down at the farmer's market in town. So I've been able to keep doing this recipe. And I don't know if it's been a late peach season for here or if this is just when peaches are here, if it's like a late summer, early fall. But
and what's interesting too is it's different varieties.
Yes.
So that has, I mean, there are some very delicious peaches, but I'm having to learn, I still don't know, but I'll go and the names don't mean anything to me.
Right.
Like down south, I knew what red globe meant and, you know, what the cling seed and the non-cling seed. I'm sure I'm saying that wrong, but you know, like which one was better for, whatever the purpose was that you wanted to use it for and what they tasted like and which one was sweeter. And so I go to the farmer's market and I'm just kind of like, I don't know what, was it Ice Princess or
I don't even know. A couple of them have where they'll cut you a slice, and that's how I've been.
That's nice.
Yes, I think I'm going to say it wrong. I don't know if it's Tana Makers or
Tana Makers.
They cut slices, so that's how I picked each week. And they've had some beautiful tomatoes lately, and anyways, but they had peaches recently that were delicious.
I'm sure that they're very willing to help you know more about their produce too. So it's always good to ask questions.
Yeah. But the variety has really been a blast. I mean, it's fun to see. I know that there's ladies here that they've got certain farmers, they like to buy certain types of cherries for their types of pies.
See, and
other
that's
ladies,
not something I've been able to ever buy fresh. I don't think is cherries.
I've
so that's exciting.
Never. Yes. Our kids got to pick cherries off of a tree for the first time. And this week we're going to go to Washington, and our kids are going to get to pick apples for the first time. So
fun.
We're having such a
fun to experience different parts of the country.
It is, in different seasons. It's the first time for us. We're Floridians, so we're seeing fall for the first time. And
leaves are actually changing. There's yellow and
there's actually
red
a reason why you might want to roast, or you know. You might want to roast in Florida just because you want to roast, but not because it's a little chilly.
Exactly.
You know? So that's been really, really fun. But with the peaches lately, I've been doing a really fast, simple recipe, and I got it from Magnolia Table, their cookbook. I think it's their first cookbook.
And Magnolia is Joanna Gaines.
Joanna Gaines, I think, does it. And I've not used the cookbook very much, so I'm not sure what
she's
the whole
based
cookbook's
in
like.
Texas. I went one time through there and did stop at her Silos and restaurant, and it was very fun.
It was fun.
But I feel like she's an excellent cook, but I don't own any of her cookbooks, so I haven't tried them, but it is something I need to get my hands on.
Yeah, I've not tried anything else in her cookbook, but I do have the cookbook, and I was looking at, what of my cookbooks has some good peach recipes. Anyways, this was a honey glazed balsamic roasted peach.
Oh my word.
And you just cut them
roast
in half.
In the oven?
Yeah, you just do it in the oven, and you cut them in half, and you butter a pan, and you put them face down, and you put them in the oven for like 3 to 5 minutes, and then you flip them over, and you put a butter honey glaze on the tops of them.
Oh my word. I'm racing to the farmer's market this weekend hoping they have some peaches
left. And then you put I might get this wrong, but you put a little bit of black pepper and fresh oregano on top. Wow. Doesn't it feel like that feels very fall?
It's mixed with
savory mix. And you broil them for I don't know, maybe another 3 to 5 minutes. So really it's in all, it's taking about 10 minutes.
Dessert.
Yes. And you take them out and you drizzle it with aged balsamic. And here, a great place, I feel like they've got some good balsamic options at Ampersand down in town.
Which is what, a vinegar and oil?
It's a vinegar and oil
specialty
shop. And anyways, you just drizzle it and you serve it with vanilla ice cream, and you put a little bit more of the balsamic on the ice cream. And it's just a really fun, and it really, it really highlights the peach.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a blast to walk down to the farmer's market because we lived close.
Yes.
Buy peaches, come on back and just make them up like that. So that was fun. And our kids love them. And I've got some kids that don't like cobbler that loved these, which I thought was, interesting. So that was a fun recipe. And it fit, it fit with the kale salad and the pork. And it was just a fun meal. That is all
a perfect pairing.
Yeah, it was a nice pairing. So I've made that meal a couple times now. And that's been a big hit for our family. I can
imagine because the color's there, the textures are there, different textures, different colors.
Yeah. The bacon's there.
The bacon is there, which, number one on the checklist. If you check that off, then you're golden.
That's right.
Especially if you're inviting kids over.
That's right.
That's amazing. That menu sounds amazing. And so if it's not peach season or you can't find peaches, maybe in the wintertime, maybe you can find peaches potentially and let them ripen on your counter. But if you can't, what else would you serve?
Well, I probably for fall, I'm new to this, Beth. So I'm kind of, but I feel like an easy thing for a crowd or for dropping something off at somebody's house is just a crisp or a cobbler. I mean, it's inexpensive.
It is.
You can use whatever seasonal fruit
and you can find apples year round.
That's right. And right now it's a great
other fruits as well.
That's right. So, Ina Garten has a really easy, I want to say it's a peach and blueberry crumble. But you could just,
delicious.
It's really fast. And all you do is a base with, your sugar or whatever. And then you just make the crumble and you can have the crumble ready separately that you just dump on the top and that's it. Mm-hmm. She uses them in ramekins, but I've just used that recipe and just done it in a pan.
Large amount.
Yeah. And I've switched out fruit. So hers is peach and blueberry, but I've done all sorts of stuff with it. And, anyways, it's fast. It's inexpensive. It's always delicious. Everybody always loves a good crisp or cobbler.
And you could serve it with ice cream or whipped cream plain.
Or plain. And so I think that's a good one. It's fast. Almost everyone has what you need to serve it. So if it's a last minute, company or whatever, you can still throw it together real quick.
Some people use frozen fruit in cobblers,
yeah, you
don't
can.
They?
Yeah, you can use frozen
Maybe
frozen
just cook
fruit.
it a little bit longer
because
you're really just cooking it until it's hot.
That's right. Yeah. Or until the crumble's crisp. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I feel like that's just a good go-to for fall and winter. It's warm, cozy,
Comfort food.
Comfort food, yeah.
It's making me hungry. So you mentioned ordering some cookbooks for some inspiration. So you ordered 10 cookbooks. Let me guess, you paid full price, top dollar. Tell me about ordering
$250. No.
Tell me about ordering 10 cookbooks.
Well, I homeschooled before our kids were in the school they're in now. And I had a girlfriend years ago that was just gave me a little hot tip. And she said, there's a couple, websites like Thrift Books or A Books that you can order used books from.
And A Books is ABE.
ABE Books.
ABE Books. I've ordered from them before.
Yeah. And so I would order my kids, school books from there. And a lot of them, $3.50. And I don't know how. A few years back, I realized, I could be doing the same thing with cookbooks. So I'll find cookbooks that I am interested in and go check there and see if they've got them. And majority of the time, they have them for under $5 a book.
Wow.
And so that's a fun way that you can feel like, for me at least, moving out here and not being used to the weather or the cooking style out here. I just asked several ladies out here, what are your favorite cookbooks for this
That's a great idea.
genre? And they would just tell me. I would look them up and then I would go to Thrift Books and order them in. And that really has been a blessing because it kind of has given me the inspiration. It's been fun for our kids. I'm trying out stuff that I haven't done in a long time. It's a sweet way to build friendships, even with ladies out here, to kind of say, thanks for that book. And I tried this recipe out. And
what a great conversation starter. Start talking about your favorite cookbooks.
Your favorite cookbooks. All
of a sudden, you're fast friends.
Yeah, and your fast friends, and then it builds up other people's homes. What a blessing that you can be to another family or a woman in the church or community that's just kind of felt a little idle with cooking or feeling like she doesn't know what to do anymore. It's just a sweet way that you can encourage somebody to bless their family. So there's been lots of ladies that have done that for my family.
Yes.
So I ordered 10 cookbooks. All of them had a little bit of a winter, fall kind of vibe to them for some inspiration. Cause I really was feeling like after summer, when the night started getting cooler again, I started every day. I'd be like, what in the world am I going to cook? I had really gotten into a good groove.
A summery salad is not
That's
cutting
right.
it anymore.
No more mangoes, So,
right.
So, and summer food is really something I'm better at because of having been from Florida. I'm just used to the hot climate. So anyways, I just ordered 10 cookbooks. I probably spent $50 and it was $50 really well spent, and just ordered those in. And I probably, now that I'm new out here and I'm kind of getting my sea legs, I probably will do that for each season. Just order, several cookbooks to kind of get me inspired and try to get ones that have good pictures. And
yes. And then your children are inspired as
and
well.
They
want to be in the kitchen learning how to do things.
That's right. Especially for your boys, but especially for your girls. There's been I've ordered a couple cookie cookbooks, or, we're coming to the holidays, and that's so fun. I mean, for girls, those are great Christmas presents, even, just getting them a new,
it gets them inspired.
It gets them inspired.
Something new.
That's right.
Eventually, over time, they become great cooks themselves.
That's right. So that's been a blast. So yes, I recommend.
And have a small little collection that they can start with when they get married.
Yes.
One day.
So
my daughter had cookbooks that were hers that she took with her. Or, if she had a favorite of mine, maybe I let it slip off the shelf. Maybe. With regret. No. If it was one I really loved, then I would just look for a good used one to replace it.
Yeah.
But it's a great idea to kind of build a cookbook collection.
Yes.
Okay, so you mentioned cookbooks. Do you have a favorite site online that you look at, or maybe just one of your favorites? There's so many.
There's certain people that I feel like Ina Garten. Am I saying that right? Garten?
I know Garten. I've heard Ina Garten, but
Ina.
it may be
It's
Ina.
Ina.
Is it
No,
Ina Garten?
I'm sure. I think I've been corrected on that multiple times.
Well,
So I call her Ina, like we're
sure.
BFFs, but it's probably Ina.
I'm sure you and her,
No.
you and your BFF, you can call her by her nickname, Ina.
She's always a good go-to. I feel like she is somebody who pretty much you don't go wrong if you use one of her recipes. So I feel like she's a good source if you're just needing something.
She is an excellent source.
She's just an excellent source. So I feel like she is great. I always kind of look at her recipes, but Instagram has its pitfalls for sure. But I feel like there's some fun Instagram accounts you could follow. Food 52 is I think it's collaborative where they take recipes from lots of different cooks and they highlight them.
Nice. And they have a website as well. And they have I've typed in Food 52 top recipes or something like that before, because they have sometimes they put articles of like their most popular recipes, and that's really fun to look at.
I've actually seen that they've done some cookbooks now, and I don't know when they started doing them. So it's Food 52, and it's kind of like a group of whatever, maybe Food 52 main dishes, and it's been their top main dishes. So I have not bought one yet because they're not on thrift books yet, but
another place you could look, which I don't know if they have it, but sometimes I've gotten cookbooks from the library just to see if it's something I would want to purchase.
Yes.
And if they don't have it, they can order. A lot of times, or maybe all libraries are in a network, and so they can order from another library in their network, and they'll order it, and in a couple of days get it to you.
Yes,
that's kind of a fun.
That's a great hot tip. I don't know if anybody has said that yet, but that's a good one. I think getting cookbooks from the library, checking them out, seeing if it's one that you're going to keep coming back to.
Right, and sometimes it's like, okay, that's not one for me, and then other times you're having to order this immediately.
Right.
I found 50 new favorites.
Yes, yes.
Okay, what about a shopping tip? Do you shop for a crowd always with 7 children? And I know we love our bulk stores.
We do.
When you have a lot of children, at least I loved bulk shopping growing up, or when my kids were growing up. I guess I was also growing up.
That's right. We always are, aren't we?
I'm still growing up. Let's be honest. So what is your shopping tip?
Well, I do like a bulk store. So I've only been to Costco a couple times because it's about a 40-minute drive, but it did feel like home. I do miss Sam's Club, but I think it's worth, for me at least, it's worth keeping my Sam's Club membership, because you can get free shipping with the membership that I have. And
a membership per year is, I'm
think
not
it's
sure
like
what the price is
$50,
anymore.
or maybe it's $50 to
Used to be
re-up it.
45, but maybe it's 50 now, which
It's not that expensive.
if
but
you
it's,
think of the amount of money you save,
Yes.
if you need the bulk. Some people
Yes.
don't. They have real small amount of people that they're cooking for. But if you do buy in bulk, you can save $50
Yes.
so quickly.
Yes.
It pays for itself.
specifically, I feel like the thing that I've missed that I am using Sam's Club for is the large season, salt, large pepper, large containers of oregano or basil, whatever. And it's so much cheaper to buy them in bulk like that. And I also can't stand having 5 little containers of paprika, which I always do when I'm buying the small ones, but it's cost efficient. It is easier to organize the large containers, and then you are more aware when you're about to be out of it because of just the size of it. So that is one of my shopping tips, is to just buy the large containers for big crowds.
Especially if you're using that spice all the time,
Right.
like pepper or paprika
Right.
or chili powder. They're 18-ounce containers,
They're
as opposed to, like, you go into to Walmart, and I'm guessing those little tiny containers, I don't know, 2 ounces,
2
4
ounces,
ounces.
probably. Yeah. And
they're
it's
sometimes close to the same price. So yeah, pepper at Sam's is $6.
Yes, and for
an
big
18-ounce.
hospitality, there's, when you're getting 4 tablespoons of chili powder, or more for a chili or something like that, or, taco seasoning or whatever. It's just an easier way and a cheaper way, I think, to be prepared for big crowds. And that's probably my biggest shopping tip for big hospitality. I'm sure I've got other stuff I would do, or organize. I do think that the grocery drop off or grocery pickup is great. Those are real blessings, especially in time crunches, or just organizing your list. If you need to be running through there quickly by, where it is in the store. So that's just basic stuff, but
but great ideas. Back to Sam's Club membership, my sister and I have split a membership before because you could have 2 adults or something like that, 2 cards. And I believe we upped to the second level. Instead of like the basic membership, you can do the plus membership, which sounds like, I don't know what it is now, but I think it was $100 when we did it. And it sounds like, what in the world? Why are you paying $100? But the way they do the membership, and it's the same at Costco, whatever you purchase, you get a certain percent back.
Yep.
And so let's say you do have a large family and you spend, let's say $100 a week, I don't know, and you get 2% back. Well, if you do that for an entire year, for years, it's completely paid for our membership.
Right.
And we have extra money.
Yep. Yeah, I've never I bought our membership the first year, and I've never bought it again, just because my reward, the cash kickback or whatever they call it, cash rewards,
and the cash
pays for
rewards
it.
You can use to pay for whatever
your bulk seasonings
in the store. Your bulk seasonings, whatever else is on your list.
That's right.
So for years, it's the same way. I was paying for the regular membership, the $45, that's what it was at the time. And somebody finally said, because they can see like what you would have earned. Like last year, you would have earned $100 or whatever it was. And that would have paid for your 45.
Right.
Or it would pay for the plus membership completely. So we started doing that. And every year we have enough money, like let's say it's $180 that we've earned. Well, that $100 totally pays for the next year's membership, and then we have $80 to split. Actually, last year it was more than that. We ended up with about $70 or $80 each to spend. So one time I went to Sam's and I was like, oh, I'll just use my rewards. It's like, when do you ever walk out of a store with $80 of items that you didn't have to pay for? Of course, I was shopping for a large family at the time. And so I was were, buying a lot, but even still, I feel like if you're using it regularly, it could potentially pay for itself.
The other thing, bringing up Sam's Club, that I forgot that I do for big hospitality, which I think this was game changer for me, but, is you can order, from Sam's Club, you can order packs of metal forks, and metal knives and metal spoons. It's 24 packs. And I think it's under $8 for a 24 pack of forks.
Is this kind of like restaurant supply?
It's restaurant supply forks. And so they're just basic. They're not anything special, but that's what I use. So I use all real forks. I don't have plasticware, and I have probably 60 forks, 60 knives or whatever. But
and then
over
if they
time,
get lost or a child throws them in the trash, no one cares.
Right. Because we started with silver. And I think when we got married, I think I had a set of 16, and they were real silver, but they looked like every day.
Okay.
But I think I ended up with one set left by the time, I don't know, a few years ago. So anyways, that's great. You're not having to deal with plasticware and, the chaos of plasticware, on your shelf or in your pantry, and never knowing, you always buying extra forks, so you already have forks.
Right.
It's just, you keep
so
the
if you
metal.
have your own bin or a tub or something.
Yeah, you keep them in tins, or I've got, they've got those cute little metal containers that have compartments for crayons or colored pencils or whatever you could, but I use that. So you can also order steak knives, in the same,
I need to order some steak knives,
and they're not great.
Have slowly disappeared.
Right. They're not great. So for just our family, I would put out nicer, silverware, but for hosting larger parties, it is a really great option where you feel like, oh, you can set a prettier table. You're not
using
all
consistent.
Yes. And it's cheap. And you don't feel bad when it gets ruined or lost or dropped on the ground outside if you're doing an outside dinner or whatever, So
I've wondered how our silverware disappears. It's kind of like socks in the dryer.
That's right.
Where does the silverware go? Because I don't remember sending real silverware with my children to school. Maybe I did, but I thought that they would return it. But I felt like maybe I had some plasticware for them to take to school. But regardless,
I think it's the trash. I think it just ends up in the trash.
Somehow children, maybe if they have a paper plate and a real fork, they don't realize they're throwing everything away, or they're scraping food, and then somehow they turn and are talking to someone and their fork slides.
Yeah.
We moved here, and I looked at the condition of my silverware, and we had, I think it was maybe it was 12. I want to say, surely it wasn't 8. But anyway, it was a full set when we were first married. But then we went and bought the exact same thing because we needed more. From those 2 sets, it was just such a hodgepodge, and you could not create full. I mean, I don't even remember how many full settings I could create, like maybe 8, maybe. I don't know. It was just, I ended up having to go on an emergency run to Costco. Because I'm like, we can't have company over. I don't even have silverware to put it.
Does Costco sell silverware?
They do.
Oh, I haven't seen that section yet.
Well, if you know how they change things out pretty regularly. So if you go down the aisle that has, it's kitchen things, but I would say it's kind of seasonal, although I'm sure some things stay the same, but where you find insulated water bottles or serving trays or anyway. They have usually at least one set of silverware. Sometimes you're not going to like it at all.
Yeah.
The time I went, there was a set I really liked. I think it was maybe by Oneida, but they had 2 choices. And when I went, they happened to have it on sale. So they had each each set of silverware was, I don't know, like $20 or $30 off or some crazy good buy. So I was super excited because I think I bought 2 of them. I don't remember. It was last year and I'm getting old. So unless this is written down somewhere, the details escape me. But you can watch for that. In fact, they might sell them online too.
Okay.
Maybe Sam's
I'll have
or
to look at that. I didn't know that.
Costco. But I like looking at that aisle. I call it a seasonal aisle just because it changes so much. But I like looking at it because they have such great deals. And usually it's the season you need that particular thing. Like if you're looking right before school, they're going to have a really cool lunchbox. Or if you need insulated water bottles. Or like for Max, when school is starting, I bought it was some kind of thermal container where you could carry soup to school or spaghetti or whatever it was you were carrying and keep it hot. But it was a wide mouth. And we didn't have that. And where he goes, he doesn't have, hot lunch provided. So he had to carry, it's like, we can't do a sandwich every day, especially when it's cold. It's freezing. You might want some kind of hot soup to carry. So anyway.
That's great.
Shopping tips. What about cleaning? I'm sure you're cleaning all the time.
Well, yes. With cleaning, I think this has probably shifted over the years. I used to get really stressed when we would be hosting a bigger crowd or just anybody, and you kind of have to build up muscle for that. But I would start, cleaning on Monday, thinking about, your company on Saturday, and it just kind of always loomed over you. And so some of that is that I'm sure that we've gotten better at maintaining our house and that kind of thing over the years. But some of it is that there's just certain work to be done every day. And when I'm hosting company on Saturday, that is going to be Saturday's work. And there might be some things that I do to prep ahead of time, but it's really been better, I think, for our family to just do the work that we need to do on those days and then turn the page. And on Saturday for our Sabbath dinners or whatever dinner we're hosting, then kind of go full throttle, focusing on that day and not, barring any trouble, on day of that, days earlier. So, we've kind of shifted to more of that and really just the whole family getting in on helping prep. We turn up the music. Jared loves to cook, so he comes and helps me cook too. And the kids love it. The girls love it. I was saying, there's ways that I think you can prep a little bit ahead of time, especially for the mother to kind of feel like, okay, this is going to be pretty and put together and nice. But I have, I'll go ahead and pull the tablecloths or the napkins and the silverware and maybe whatever candles I'm using or vases, and I'll put them in a bins and I'll have them if they need to be ironed. A lot of times I don't iron them, but have them all set and ready to go beforehand, maybe while the kids are at school or whatever. And so then when it's time to really turn the page for setting the table or whatever, it's all organized and clean and the kids know what I want. And it just makes it easy. And for me, it kind of gives that little nice mental,
okay,
it's
now
already,
it's crunch
that's already,
time. Let's
yes,
go.
and that's already done. Like I don't have to worry about, where are the napkins or where are the tablecloths or do we need to iron them? Oh, that one has a stain in it, or it's just already done. And I could really just focus on just cooking. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing is that, and Jared's been good about this too, but we are a living home. Yes. So as people come in, and you're hosting them, it is okay to not have everything buttoned up. When people are getting there, you don't have to have, had a friend kind of joke about this, but you don't have to have your 6 crock pots lined up in a row, like you never cooked a thing and coming down with your lipstick perfect and your hair laid just nicely,
And your 2-year-old's just primly standing by the door, waiting to greet the guests.
We all know that's not how it goes. So you don't have to pretend. And not that it needs to be just utter chaos, but it is a living home with real food and real people and real love. And so it should evidence that. And I think a lot of time it makes people feel far more comfortable to walk into a setting where, Jared might greet them and I'm in the kitchen. I'm like, oh, hey y'all, come on in, got to finish something up. And it helps ease people that maybe you're, a little nervous about coming over. And it doesn't have to be sloppy. That's not what I'm saying.
It's just a relaxed environment.
But it's just, yes. And you might have something, beautiful to put on the table, but you're inviting people into your home to provide a meal.
Them to your normal life.
Yeah. And you're inviting them for a meal and you're showing them hospitality and doing good. And it's just, I think it just ends up being better that way. I used to do it the other way and just laid out everything, and there was this real stress to provide this quiet, perfect, like the nothing had happened.
Playing, right. The candles are burning.
That's
no
right.
Children are making a peep.
That's right. And that's not, there's a time for probably a meal where it's presented like that. But when you're having people in your home and for your own kids, it should be a little louder, cheery, there should be, you walk in and not only are you getting kind of the aroma of food, but you're getting the aroma of life. And so anyways, that has shifted over the years for us. And I think it's made people far more comfortable. It's made me think hospitality is more manageable. Mm-hmm. And it's actually opened me up to cooking a lot of food that I would have never cooked before for company, because I would have felt like I couldn't have it buttoned up just so. And so that's just been a blast,
Yes. Mm-hmm. So is that your best advice for showing warm hospitality to those coming into your home? Just being a relaxed hostess?
Yeah. And realize the Bible talks about this, but it's, the culture of your home, the tone of your home is far more important than what you're serving,
Yes.
And so, that is something that I know that we've worked towards, and it doesn't mean that food doesn't matter because,
Sure,
it
you
does
want
too.
your food to be delicious.
But your heart, the tone of your home, your kids, the fellowship, everyone being in fellowship is far more important. And so my recommendation is just to keep that first, as you're working towards hosting people. It's really easy to get out of fellowship with your kids or your husband, or feeling like, getting snappy, and just working hard to not do that. And to really keep everyone in fellowship before you host, because really when you are giving them food, you are wanting to feed them, but you also are wanting to show them spiritual hospitality. You're wanting to bless their souls, not just their bodies. So we're body and soul. And so you're doing both in hospitality. It's not just about the food. It is also about doing good to them, building them up, So I think when your warm hospitality is about thinking about really blessing them, and by feeding them, and also just blessing their souls, being spiritual encouragement,
Well, and if your heart's in that place, your conversation is going to be in that direction,
right?
Versus you just internally thinking of all the tragedies that are upon you.
That's right.
Like, I need to do this. I need to do that. Oh, is this good enough? Is that, if you're internally just a mess, then your conversation is not likely to be a blessing.
Right. And really you're not, when you're thinking about yourself, you're really not showing hospitality to anybody else. So when the food becomes about you, when the environment of your home and the table setting becomes about you and not about, you really want to make something lovely for other people, it's not hospitality. I mean, you're being hospitable to yourself, maybe.
Right.
But you're not thinking about anybody else.
But you're pretty miserable yourself.
You're pretty miserable. So you're really not being hospitable to anybody else. And so, I think that just really thinking about blessing other people with what you feed their bodies and what you feed their souls is probably how to really get some warm hospitality.
Yeah. Great ideas. What is your must-have kitchen item, and where can we find it?
Oh, brother. Okay.
I know there's lots. When you cook for a large crowd, you have lots of go-to kitchen items.
I should have came prepared for this one. So lately, there is this tool that my friend Rachel told me about, and it's this chopper.
Oh, she may have mentioned it on hers.
Maybe
the Full Star chopper.
Yes.
Hey, that's okay. We can re-mention it because it is such a game changer. I did not, but it's on my list. And we recently did a fall, I don't know what they called it, a fall banquet or fall dinner or I helped. I say we did it. I helped. I wasn't the brains or the brawn behind the entire event, but we served dinner to 300 plus people.
Okay.
And one of her girls had brought they have more than one, but they had the Full Star chopper there to help. I think we did make that salad you mentioned.
Yes.
And she was over there just grabbing a big old chunk of apple and slam apple, push the chopper down, apple, push the chopper down. I mean, made salad for over 300 people, perfectly chopped apple in just no time at all.
It is wild.
I was just in awe.
And I'm gonna just go with Rachel on this and say it's probably my most favorite kitchen tool of the year.
It's
pretty wild.
And I've done pepper.
Sizes. You can get different sizes.
It's
but I've used it
on my what is that called? There's a shop link
on
comeover.com or comeover. Don't look up comeover.com. I don't even know what you'll find.
You might find something sketchy.
Who knows? Comeoverfordinner.com. But it's on there where you can find exactly which one we're talking about. And there's two different varieties because one I think comes with the two different sizes of squares.
Okay.
But there's another one where you pay just a tiny bit more and you can get a couple more
attachments. Yes, yeah. Yes, that has been so good for everything. I mean, I've mango salsa, chopped tomatoes. Everything.
It's
Peppers.
just like instant salsas or instant chopped fruits.
Or instant onion. I mean, you use chopped onions for everything. And it is the fastest way to have chopped onions. I mean, the fastest way. And they're all similar sizes.
They're uniform. And you're not crying. I would imagine.
Well, you cry a little still. It depends
bit.
on the onion, but it's not the same way. But it is the best. So I'm glad she mentioned that too.
Okay.
But I'm gonna
double mention means everyone who has not ordered it yet, go put it in your shopping cart.
Put it in your cart
for a birthday or Christmas present, or just just because
happy fall, y'all.
Happy fall, y'all. Happy winter, y'all. Happy spring, summer.
No, it's just a good purchase. Anybody that has seen me used it in my kitchen, I had family come and visit, have all said, I'm sorry, what is this?
What is this?
And where can I buy
we order it?
Yeah. So I would say that's probably
that's a great present idea.
It's a good present. I have bought it for people. So
because not everybody would have that not very many
majority
people
of
would
people
have
I
it
don't
in
feel
their
like would
kitchen.
have no. And it was one of those purchases that I thought actually Rachel was the one that recommended it to me.
They're literally
so
like $20.
She thought about it first. It's $20, but you kind of think, why wouldn't I just chop an onion?
Right.
I can just chop an onion. Mm-hmm. But I will tell you, once you buy one of these, you're going to know why you wouldn't just chop an onion. Okay. So yeah.
Well, and if you're doing a crowd, you're chopping a lot of onions.
You're chopping a lot of onions.
Or a lot of apples.
Yes.
Or a lot of, like, let's say you're making a salsa.
Yeah.
You're chopping so many things.
Yep.
And tomatoes, jalapenos, onions. So
it's been great. That's my kitchen item.
I love it.
Okay.
Tell us about a story, a hospitality story. Do you have? I bet it's always just gone swimmingly at your house. You've never had any mistakes or problems.
Yes, we are just the perfect family. We never
idyllic.
No,
family.
I kind of mentioned. I thought maybe this would be too much for your podcast, but we
Reality
this
podcasting
is reality
right here at its finest.
The sweetest. We had some sweet church members at a church a couple of churches ago that Jared was pastoring, and they came over for dinner, and we had small children at this time, and I can't even remember. We would have had 4 kids, I would say 4 and under. So we had a lot of kids really close together, and we had this sweet couple over for dinner, and I can't remember what I cooked at all because of how this dinner ended. But anyways, we were all sitting there eating dinner, and it was just such a lovely night. And they are the sweetest people. And one of my kids started gagging, and we initially all thought they were choking on, I want to say cheese or something weird. But anyways, they ended up tossing their cookies all over the dining table. And obviously everybody stopped eating. And this is how you know that these are good people, is because I'm not as good as they were. Because if I were them, I would say, oh, let us pack our stuff up. We're out of here. But they were like, oh, she was just choking. And I'd never had a kid choke and throw up.
Right.
So I was kind of like, I feel like they could be sick. And I kind of even said, well, they might be sick. And they said, oh, I think they were just
been
choking.
Fine
they had
till
been
now.
fine. Everyone's
they
fine.
seem fine.
Well, they stayed and helped us clean it up. And
wow,
what people, and they stayed, we cleaned it up. We all washed our hands, and I served dessert, and I don't even know what I served. And they ate dessert. And then we ended up sending them home with a stomach bug. It was a stomach bug. It hit everybody and these poor people. But instead
of sending home extra cookies, the stomach bug.
Wow.
51 house.
Yeah. That is not how you bless somebody. That is not warm hospitality. I do not recommend. It is not how you bless someone's body.
Anti-tip.
This is an anti-tip. Do not have your children
share the stomach
bug on the dining room table.
No.
Don't do that.
No.
So that was hilarious. I don't know. I'm sure there's so many. I had one where this was newer. I don't know how new. We were probably under 4 years married. I was still trying to figure things out, and I was using the crock pot, and I don't know what I did, but I think I might have put some frozen meat in that crock pot and thought it would cook. And by the time our company showed up for dinner, I didn't check it because I followed the recipe for the and it's a crock pot.
Right.
Come on.
Hours.
How can you mess up a crock pot? But
exactly.
Hours had passed, 8 hours probably, and it was still frozen.
Did you forget to turn it on?
And no.
It was on.
It was still frozen or overcooked. I can't even remember. It was either burnt or frozen. it was on one
you
end.
No, it wasn't edible.
But all I know is that I wanted to cry, and Jared redeemed all of it and just said, "Oh, we're going to order pizza." And we just laughed about it. And that was so good. God just used lots of those types of situations to keep me humble in the hospitality department,
Yes.
and to help me, not trust crock pots.
Well, not fully rely on crock pots.
They're not very trustworthy. So anyways, But yeah, hospitality stories, I'm sure there's plenty more. Much of them I probably just
You've tried to forget.
Pushed way
I
back.
have one that's a little too recent to forget. Your first story made me think of it because I actually have forgotten it up until now. I guess I'm trying to bury it in the dark recesses of my mind. But the same thing happened to us where it wasn't a stomach bug. It was just some kind of severe allergic reaction with Brian, my husband. No. I had made lots of different things, but it was kind of a Mexican type. I don't know, I think we'd served tacos, but I'd made some homemade salsa, and these were all things I had made before. And we're still not quite sure what it was. I don't know if it was because of maybe extra cilantro, like if he had kind of an intolerance, but maybe he ate so much that we don't know. We do not know what it was, because looking back, it's like, well, you've eaten all of these things before. All we could think of was maybe cilantro, because people do have severe allergies sometimes to cilantro.
Okay.
Regardless, we are having a great meal with a couple that we'd invited over from his work, and we had plans to just sit and talk, and there were things that we wanted to ask them about that we'd heard about, travels, or the husband had his own business, and we had all this conversation planned, and, just we're having a great time. An hour in, my husband leaves. And I thought he'd gotten a phone call, like maybe his mom had called, but he was gone a really long time. And I just kept, the conversation going. And he came back out white as a ghost and was like, "I'm just really sorry, y'all, but I'm really, really sick. And I'm really sorry." He could hardly talk. And then he darted back to the bathroom. No. And all of a sudden we all realized he has been in the bathroom this whole time tossing his cookies. And so anyway, they had to leave, and it was just, and my husband was sick the whole night. I mean, it was just awful, but it did make me realize, besides, that I need to say goodbye to the guests and just really apologize and say, "We'll invite you back another time, and promise not to serve any of the same food."
No cilantro.
All of us were fine, so it wasn't any kind of stomach bug. It was something he ate, but so yes, then I had to go and try to take care of him because he was deathly ill, so sick. I was like, "Do I need to carry you to the hospital?" type thing, and it eventually passed. But I did have that thought of, God does all kinds of stories in our lives,
right.
And some of them are funny and some of them are fabulous successes. People leave and you think that could not have gone any better.
Right.
And then other times you're like, "Why did this happen, God?" Why? Why did this happen? But there's a reason behind it, and we learn and grow from it. And sometimes it's just to be able to laugh at ourselves,
right,
or to not take ourselves so seriously, or look so much at ourselves and think
that's right.
We need to, be praised for all of our efforts or whatever. God has a purpose in, stomach bugs appearing in the middle of a meal.
And a lot of the time, showing hospitality to other people, having people in your home, it blesses them, but it really blesses your family. You think about if you never had anybody ever in your home, maybe you're not like this, but if you never ever had to have people in your home, you would live in a much different way.
That's true.
You would decorate differently. You would cook differently. You would not clean as much, and not that you would let things go because you would be doing it for your family. But God really uses having people in your homes to build up your home and to have you do things with your homes and with your cooking. And, that you would not do otherwise. And so
Right.
I think that a lot of time, you think, well, this was a wash.
Right.
This was an absolute wash.
There was no
what
point
good
to
came
this.
out of this? But it's like, well, there was lots of good. Like, you worked together as a family to cook dinner. You got the house clean and organized. There are all sorts of blessings on that end that you just don't, that you can really just miss, when you're thinking about, oh, well, they just had to leave and
Right.
didn't even get dessert. But
Right. Well, exactly. I don't remember again, like you, I don't even remember really what we served or what
Right.
the dessert was, or even if I could send some home with them. I don't even know. It was just kind of, part of it was a blank, like just a small panic, but we graciously said goodbye and moved on with the evening. But yes, like you're saying, it does teach you and your children so many things. I think it prepares children when you have a small, I mean, it could be large, but you're bringing in another family. It does give children the opportunity to learn and grow in hospitality themselves. They're learning before they're adults in the world how to greet a guest, how to look an adult in the eye and greet them and say hello or carry on a conversation or answer a question that's put to them. Okay, really funny story. I have another one that just popped in my mind. We had a dinner with my sister's family, and she had invited a couple over, a very sweet couple. And the man happens to be one of the elders in the church. And my son, he's 15, he may have been 14 at the time. He may have just said it in a really serious voice. I'm not sure. But he said, okay, I have a question for you. And the elder of the church, the man said, I don't remember his exact phrasing, but something like, oh, yes, sure. Is it a spiritual question? And my son said, would you rather? Would you rather? And then he goes into something like, I don't even remember, but would you rather?
Skydiving
Yes.
in the rain,
But it
or
was
my kids love that.
crazier. It was something like, would you rather have false teeth or never be... Who even knows? It was some crazy two options, and I about died. Like, I'm sitting there like, oh my word. But it was just the funniest thing. And then everybody was talking about these two options, and his wife was saying, well, I just can't imagine doing this. I would definitely want my own teeth. And we're talking about teeth at the table. It was just so funny. And my first instant was like, oh my goodness, he should be more serious. But it ended up being just such a funny conversation and one that we laughed about and was just so goofy. But he was a part of the conversation, and he was talking to the adults. But it was really kind of what his 15-year-old brain had thought about or heard on a podcast or another friend at school or whatever. And so anyway, I think your children learn a lot from just interacting with all sorts of ages of
adults.
guests.
And yes, we love having a mixture, a wide variety of, if we can, try to invite some singles or some older folks or a family, or, you try to, it's a great way, to just kind of have a fun mix, and everybody can learn from the body,
Yes.
And so that's been fun to switch it up some like that.
Yes. You definitely can glean from lots of other people, their walks of life, their experiences, different ages have different bits of wisdom to share. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for joining me today, and thank you for sharing a menu and all of your fabulous tips. I cannot wait to try all of this.
Well, thanks.
And buy my food chopper that's still on my list.
Yes, Bess, get it.
All right. Until next time.